What's up, everybody? Welcome to the View from Jamestown podcast edition. We are recording live from the 2024 American Coding Show. We got our first podcast guest of the day here for Wednesday, Mr. Steve Decastro. Steve, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you, man.
How we doing?
I'm doing great.
You got the logos and the shirts.
You got the logos, get everything going.
Making the marketing and me proud there.
That's it.
First time on the podcast as well?
First time on the podcast.
So we had to come all the way to Indianapolis to get you on
that.
Yeah,
my hope is the camera doesn't break.
It won't. So obviously new to the podcast, why don't you give a little intro on your background? And,
I've been with TCC now over 6 years, I think. I came from the paint and coatings world. I came from working for a large paint and coatings corporation, RPM. I worked for one of their divisions and did a lot of procurement work for them.
Sure.
And so been in the paint and coatings world, like I said, 40 plus years, been coming to this show forever, it seems like.
Yep.
And it's great to come here and see friends from the past and meet new friends and whatever. So it's always, I always like running into everybody and catching up on old things we used to do and new things and try to form new relationships. And it's great because the relationships that you formed over the past continue, and the industry is as big as it is, and as big as the paint and coatings industry is, the relationships seem to always stay, so that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's been funny. It's been obviously great having this big booth space and whatnot and hanging out the booth, and it seems like there's a never-ending cycle of people coming over and shaking your hand like, oh, it's so good to see you. And
it's great. It's always good. Obviously, we went through some tough times a few years ago when we didn't have the show. But I think we're coming back now, and everyone's mood seems to be pretty upbeat. And I think consumer takeaway is a little soft, but hopefully if interest rates can come down, whatever, that'll improve that a bit. And I think people will be making a lot more paint.
Yeah, it seems that way. That was going to be my next question, is kind of what your general mood or takeaway from the first day and a half of the show are. It seems like people are cautiously optimistic about things.
I think on the industrial side, I think the industrial coating side seems to be doing much better than the consumer side.
Yep.
And usually that's a sign that the consumer side is going to turn around sometime soon. So I think everyone did so much painting during the time when they couldn't go outside and do whatever.
Yeah.
That now that they're waiting for other things to do with their money that they've saved, going on vacation and things, and not doing a lot of DIY work around the house.
Sure.
So I think the consumer takeaway is basically kind of taking a little hit on that, but that it always comes back. It will come back, and people are always looking for new opportunities, and they're making new products all the time that do more, and that's great, and that's what we try to provide them with. Sure.
Yeah, and you've had some of our newer sales folks tied into some of your meetings down here while you've been here. Taking some under your wing a little bit. What have you been trying to instill in Luan and some of the newer sales folks, and what would your advice be to any kind of newer folks that are getting into this industry?
I think it's all about a relationship that you can have with someone, and to be truthful and honest and know that they can depend upon you.
Sure.
So you have to build trust. And I think once you build that trust and they know that they can trust you, I think that goes a long way. And people that I run into, they tell me all the time, Steve, when you were around and you were buying, if you gave me your word, we knew we could depend on it.
Sure.
So you earn that trust, and I think that's what I try to instill upon new people getting in, whether you're in sales or not. It's one of trust and relationship, and trying to make sure that they know that they can trust you, and you're going to stand behind what you do.
Yep.
And that's what I try to let them know about TCC and the chemical company, is that they can trust us. Security of supply is important to us. That's the main thing that we try to tell all of our customers, that we have product for you. We'll be there for you.
Sure.
We're going to be there for you all the time. And so a lot of times it's important. Sometimes price, obviously you want to be competitive, but to make sure that they can depend on you and you're going to have product when they want it, that's the main thing. And when people were working for me and I was in charge of procurement, the one thing I always let everyone know is make sure that you don't shut a plant down.
Yep.
you shut a plant down, we're going to blow the roof off the office building because that's not good. So,
right.
And everyone knows that, and people have been through some difficult times in the past few years, and they kind of know. And we've had a few people come by and say, we've made some mistakes where we just had one supplier only,
sure.
and we now know that that's probably not a good thing to do.
Yep.
And so that's good, and I would agree with that. I think you need multiple levels of suppliers sometimes, and guys that you can depend on, and if they know they can depend upon you, maybe they can rely on you more and give you more.
Sure. Yeah, and a lot of that just takes time, takes some patience. Takes multiple touch points and dinners and meetings and calls and whatnot. It takes time to build some of these relationships, obviously. And
it does. It's 40 years of building relationships,
yeah.
And so it takes time. But once they're there, for the most part, they're there forever.
Sure. Well, we're lucky enough to have your 40-plus years of experience here at TCC now. It's
thank you.
A big asset, and we'll have to have you on an episode, obviously being local up to us in New England. We'll have you at the office in Jamestown or sometime soon. We won't come all the way to Indy to have you on the podcast here next time.
Great.
So great to have you. And
sounds like a plan.
It's been a great week.
Thanks.
We'll see you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Ben.
Thanks, Steve.
All right.